Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new subscriber, please consider subscribing. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you, and share, comment, watch. I appreciate your support. Thank you guys. So today I'm gonna tell you a story about a certain maid. So maid, nanny, mboj, all of them. So it's actually an anonymous story, but I hope you learn something from it. So the character of my story will name her Nyambura. Nyambura is a lady. She has gotten married. Then she decided to settle down with the husband. So later on, they moved to, I think, satellite. Yeah. So after living in satellite, they lived with the husband. Later on, she became pregnant, and she gave birth to a baby girl. Then, where she was working, she was given a maternity leave for 3 months to take care of the baby. So she took care of the baby, Then when the baby reached 3 months, she said, oh, let me look for a nanny to take care of my baby when I go back to work. Then she found a nanny. The nanny came from Ushago. I won't mention the place, but she came from Ushago. I don't know where exactly. Because remember, this is an anonymous story. So later on, the maid came. She was just from Shags, and Nyambura was happy. At first, she was happy with her. So she will do everything. She will take care of the baby. When Nyambura comes back, the baby is just okay. She's okay. There's nothing. So later on, this maid decided to, after like 2 months, she started changing behavior. She was she'll go outside, then she'll never come back. Maybe she'll come back later on. Then Nyambura, then one of the neighbors told Nyambura, this girl will go outside and leave the baby here alone, and the baby will cry non-stop. So it will be better if you talk to her. Then Nyambura said, no, yeah, it's okay, I'll talk to her. Then she talked to the maid. The maid said, I'm just tired, so at times I just decide to go outside here and walk. Then I come back home. Then Nyambura told her, the maid said, okay, fine, I'm going to change. So after like 2 weeks, the maid changed. She behaved well for 2 weeks. Then later on, she started talking to other maids. The way you're living in apartments, then there are other maids when they come to wash clothes. They will meet. They will talk. She will even forget about the baby and the house chores. So Nyambura, when they came home early, she found her outside outside, and the baby was inside crying. And Nyambura was like, Nyambura called her, told her, why are you doing this to my kid? I hired you here to take care of my baby, not you going outside there. I'm not paying you to do this actually. And I've talked to you several times, but you don't listen. So Nyambura talked to her. She even went to the extent of slapping the maid. She was even physical with the maid. Then the maid cried, and the next day she just acted normal. So Nyambura left for work. She left the baby as usual. The husband even went to work. Then the maid, now the neighbors were telling Nyambura after this incident happened. Nyambura, the maid took the jiko, the charcoal jikos. You know the charcoal jiko? She took it, lit it. Then when it was ready, she put it back inside the house. She took a big sufuria, put the sufuria on top of the jiko, added a lot of water, then took the baby. The baby was just 6 months old. She put her inside the boiling water. Then Nyambura locked the door and left. Remember, she has left the burning jiko, sufuria with water on it, and the baby inside. Now the baby was just sitting there, but eventually now the baby started crying, and the neighbors were like, this kid is crying non-stop, what's happening? But they never bothered because that was usual, because they just knew this girl will just talk to Nyambura and tell her today she left the baby alone, and the baby was just crying. So for them, they knew Nanny, the maid, was inside the house. But Maki, she was not inside the house. She had already left. She went, disappeared. Don't even know where she went. Now the baby started crying. The water is boiling in the sufuria. It's boiling the baby, It's burning, it's burning. Now the baby was crying in pain. The baby was crying in pain. Then the neighbors were like, oh, this is too much. What do we do? When they went there, peeping in the window, they see the baby in a hot water in sufuria on top of the charcoal jiko, and they were like, what? This is so painful. What do we do? They called Nyambura, then they went to caretaker and asked for the spare keys. They came, opened the door. Nyambura, after hearing this, she came as fast as she could, but the baby couldn't be saved. So they tried, the way they needed it was boiling, so they carried the baby, took the baby to Kenyatta Hospital. Upon arriving to Kenyatta, the skin had started even falling off, the pain, and the baby died there. So it was so painful for Nyambura, and she couldn't even take it. She became mad, and the maid ran away. Has never been found till now. So what am I telling you guys? If you want to hire somebody, you should really look the way you're taking. You should know how you're going to treat the person, because some people they tend to react. They like doing revenge, a very bad revenge. Like this one now, the maid, after being beaten with Nyambura, she didn't have to say anything. She just had to take the pain, inflict the pain to the baby, because she only know that that's the only way that she could inflict the pain to Nyambura. So, guys, let us be keen. We don't know each other. Let's treat each other right. If you have seen these signs in your maid, maybe in your housemaid, in whatever, if the maid has started acting funny, so don't even beat her. Don't lay your hand on her. If you can't handle her, let her go. Let her go. You don't need them anyway. You can even exchange them sometimes, but we don't know people. So treat people right. Don't start beating people you don't know because you're paying them. Doesn't make sense. So the baby died, and that's the end of the story. Remember, it was anonymous. Thank you guys. Subscribe.